Today we are going to be learning about the expectations for the 7th grade paragraph format. But before we get started, you will need to make sure that you have all of your materials in front of you. The first thing that you'll need to make sure that you have is the white paper that says paragraph notes at the top. And you'll also need to make sure that you have a copy of the blue paper. It's a half sheet cut vertically, and it says starters up at the top. Make sure you have those things. In addition, you will also want to have a pencil, and you'll need access to the highlighters. Make sure that everyone at your table can share the highlighters. You will not be able to have your own individual highlighters at your desk, so after you use them, be a good neighbor and replace them in the basket, since there are not enough for everyone to have each color to themselves. When you have all your supplies either in front of you or within reach, you are ready to go. Let's go ahead and start talking about the format. All you need to do right now is look at the screen. In the 7th grade paragraph format, there are 8 sentences, as you can see here. I've got them all numbered for you, and you can start seeing that many of them repeat. If you just take a look at this, you can see that sentences 2, 4, and 6 look exactly the same. And sentences 3, 5, and 7 look exactly the same. This is nice for you because it is definitely a pattern. Let's talk about what we expect in each of the 8 sentences. First sentence. The first sentence is the topic sentence. You no doubt have written a topic sentence before. And in 7th grade, the things that you already know about a topic sentence won't really change that much. There might be a few things that we add to make it a little better, to make your writing a little more sophisticated, but pretty much the topic sentence is going to tell me what you're going to write about in your paragraph and what your paragraph will be about. It is very similar to a topic sentence you've probably written and you probably know how to write. All right, let's move on to sentence number 2. As you can see in sentence number 2, you will start the sentence with a transition word. I'm guessing that you've used transition words before and you're very familiar with some transition words such as first, next, second, last, finally. However, I will introduce some to you much later in the video that are more sophisticated and you can start to also incorporate into your writing. So sentence 2 starts with a transition word, always. It's always how we start sentence 2. Take a look at what comes after the transition word. Next, you are going to have a piece of evidence. Now, this isn't evidence that you've made up. This is evidence from the text, from whatever story or article you have read. Text evidence is important because it makes you sound credible. Making up evidence makes you sound silly. We have to use text evidence. And where do you find text evidence? Obviously from the piece that you've just read. Moving on to the third sentence, you can see that this starts with a commentary starter. Now, you might not be sure what a commentary starter is right now. We'll go ahead and go over those, and I'll show you some examples at the end of the video. Just know that sentence number 3 will start with a commentary starter and that you will have a list of those to use so that you're not unclear what they are. It will be very, very obvious what the commentary starters are. After the commentary starter comes the commentary sentence. Now, this is your continuation. The commentary starter starts it, and then you follow up with the rest of your commentary. Commentary is one of the most difficult parts of writing a 7th grade worthy paragraph because commentary does not come from the text like text evidence does. Commentary comes from your head, and this is sometimes a hard piece to write because after you select your very excellent text evidence that you will find in the piece of literature or article or story that you've read, now you have to explain why that was good evidence and how it relates to your topic sentence. Why does it back up your topic sentence? This is what commentary does, and that's why commentary is sometimes very, very difficult to write, because it's a justification of why you chose the text evidence that you did, how it is applicable to your topic. I'm going to show you several example paragraphs so you'll get an idea of what we're looking for later on. And then the great thing about this paragraph format is that the next 4 sentences are just a repetition. So check this out. Sentences 2 and 3 go together because they deal with the same piece of text evidence. Sentences 4 and 5 go together. And sentences 6 and 7 also go together. Let's talk about sentence number 4. Sentence number 4, again, will start with a transition word. Ask yourself, should this start with the same transition word that I used in sentence 2? No. You have to pick another transition word, a different transition word. Then you will have a second piece of text evidence. So this will be another piece of text evidence that you chose from the text that you read that will also support whatever you claimed in your topic sentence. After your second piece of text evidence, now it's your job again to explain your text evidence. So you've got to use another commentary starter, and then you will finish the sentence by writing a commentary sentence to explain whatever your second piece of text evidence is. Since you're probably noticing the pattern, you should see that sentence 6 will start with another transition word. It cannot be the same as the one you used in sentence 4, and it can't be the same as the one you used in sentence 2. So you will have a third transition word that you will choose, a different one, followed by your third piece of text evidence to prove whatever your claim is that you've made in your topic sentence. You can see in sentence 7 that you will in fact choose a third commentary starter and then write your third commentary sentence. As you can see, your 8th sentence will complete your paragraph and will be your concluding sentence. This is the same as every other concluding sentence that you've probably written before. It wraps up your paragraph. It ties back to the topic sentence, but is not the same as the topic sentence, but is similar. I have some strategies for writing a concluding sentence that I'll talk about later when I show you an example paragraph, because in my opinion, concluding sentences can be difficult because it's very easy to want to write the same concluding sentence as topic sentence, and you know that you can't have 2 of the same sentences in one paragraph. Again, just to note that this paragraph format is really pretty easy. It is 8 sentences. That's the expectation in 7th grade. And really, you should be able to check yourself. If you've written 9 sentences, if you've written 5 sentences, or 6, you are not following the format, and it's got to change. The really great thing is the repetition within the paragraph, since we talked about that sentences 2 and 3 just repeat themselves throughout the paragraph. So you will become so familiar with this format, and it will become so much easier for you after you practice a little bit. So let's start practicing. All right, so go ahead and grab the white paper that is labeled paragraph format notes. You can see at the top that it says that. I would probably suggest that you put your name on this, and in addition, I would highly suggest that somewhere on the top of this paper you write VIP, because this will definitely stay in your VIP section of your binder. It's going to be something that you'll be using all year until you have it absolutely memorized. So it's a good idea just to place it there when we're done with it today. And then what I'd like to focus on first is this top section right under the words paragraph format notes that give you your very own copy of the format that we just discussed just a second ago. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to notice that this is the exact same format that I just showed you. You've got it here in front of you, and what you are going to do is you are going to use highlighters, use the highlighters that you have at your table to start color coding your very own format so that it looks exactly like the one we just talked about. Make sure you are sharing the highlighters and make sure that you notice that this first sentence is actually pink. So as you can see here, you can go ahead and highlight sentence 1 on your notes in pink, and then go ahead and highlight the rest of your format. As you can see, the transition words, all 3 of them are green, evidence is yellow, commentary starters are orange, commentary sentences are purple, and the concluding sentence is blue. Pause the video and make your paragraph format that you have right in front of you on your notes look exactly like this paragraph format. All right, if you follow directions perfectly, your paragraph format notes will now look like this. If for any reason you have not been able to follow the directions and your paper does not look like this, you must get a new copy of these notes because you can't move on until your paper looks exactly like this one. All right, so on your paragraph format notes, you now have all of the sentences color-coded so that you can see exactly what we have in our format. Let's go ahead and answer these 4 questions underneath the format. You can grab your pencil and just answer these questions on your own paper. How many sentences are there total in our paragraph format? Pause the video and write your answer. If you wrote the number 8, you are correct. There are 8 sentences in our paragraph format. There are not 7. There are not 5. There are 8 sentences in the 7th grade paragraph format. Question number 2. How many transition words will you need for your paragraph? Go ahead and pause the video and write your answer. The correct answer is 3. If you have that, you got the correct answer. If you didn't have that, just go ahead and change your answer. As you can see, we've got 3 different transition words, and you'll be able to choose whichever ones you want to use. Third question, how many pieces of text evidence will you need? This should be an easy question for you to answer, so go ahead and pause the video. And hopefully you have the answer 3 written down. Because there are 3 transition words, you can also see that there will be 3 pieces of text evidence that follow each transition word. And finally, the last question is, what is the job of commentary? And this is probably the most difficult question if you're not sure still what commentary exactly is. So see if you can come up with an answer, but if not, you can just wait until I tell you the answer. So pause the video, write an answer if you'd like, or just wait. All right, the correct answer for the question, what is the job of commentary, is to explain the text evidence. Your commentary is used because you need an explanation of why you chose the text evidence that you did. We'll talk more specifically about commentary later, and I'll show you several examples of correct commentary sentences so that you can hopefully begin to see what they should look like and how you can formulate your own. All right, now that you know about the paragraph format, let's actually see this in action so that you can have a perfect example paragraph. Let's pretend that your teacher has asked you to write about the following prompt. Since you've all read the story The Landlady by Roald Dahl, this should be pretty easy for you because you should be able to remember Billy Weaver and all of the signs that he missed. So let's take a look at the prompt that we can pretend that your teacher has asked you to write about. Analyze whether or not Billy Weaver, from the short story The Landlady by Roald Dahl, missed important clues that could have saved his life. You can remember Billy, and hopefully you remember some of the things that he missed and how silly he was in trusting the landlady. Now you can flip your page of notes over, and on the back you will notice that you have a perfect sample paragraph. I've written this paragraph so that you can follow along and have a good paragraph to look at once you try and write your own first paragraph. Go ahead and follow along on your own sample paragraph while I read it to you. In the short story The Landlady by Roald Dahl, Billy Weaver is completely clueless and misses all the signs that should warn him about the dangerous landlady. For example, when the landlady answered the door the second that Billy rang the bell, this should have sent a warning to Billy that something wasn't right. This proves that Billy is clueless because it is obvious that the landlady was watching and waiting at the door for Billy, and most people would agree that this is a strange thing to do. In addition, another clue that Billy completely misses is when the landlady tells him that she stuffs all her little pets when they pass away. This shows that Billy is completely clueless because it should have indicated to him that she is very strange, as this is not a very common thing for people to do and is pretty weird. Finally, the last sign that Billy misses is that the tea he is served has a very strange and bitter flavor. This confirms that Billy is not on top of things, because if someone serves you something that tastes very odd, you probably shouldn't continue to consume it. Unfortunately for Billy Weaver, he missed all of the clues that he should have noticed in order to prevent his death in this short story. Alright, now that you've heard what a good paragraph should sound like, let's go and take a look back at the format that you're supposed to be using. I'd like you to grab a pink highlighter and please highlight the first sentence of this sample paragraph pink, as this is the topic sentence. So your paper should look like this. And while you highlight, I'd like to go ahead and show you just a few things about the topic sentence that you can start to do in your own writing to make your writing sound more mature. So one of the things that I'd like to show you is that in the topic sentence, I really tried to pay attention to the prompt, which you can see here on this slide. And please notice how in the prompt used the name of the short story as well as the author's name. So when I wrote my topic sentence, I also included in my topic sentence the name of the short story and the author's name. It's a nice element that you can start adding to make your writing more mature and more 7th grade like. Now, this time, adding the author's name as well as the name of the short story was pretty easy because it was in my prompt, but you can still add something very specific like that even if it's not in your prompt. Take a look at the other things that I also added into my prompt. So the prompt asked me to analyze if he missed important clues that could have saved his life, and I didn't use those exact words in my topic sentence. But I did get pretty close because I called Billy completely clueless and says that he misses all the signs that should warn him about the dangerous landlady. So a little bit different. I could have used those exact words, but I just mixed it up a little bit. Alright, based on the format that you've learned, you should know exactly what's coming next and what color to grab. So let's see if you got this right. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that the next thing that should come right after my topic sentence is a transition word, and in this case, I've decided to use for example, and then I've got my first piece of text evidence, as you can see here in yellow. So go ahead and pause the video and make sure that you have highlighted your example paragraph exactly like this. While you're highlighting, I'd like you just to notice a few things about my first piece of text evidence. So I've got my text evidence right here, and as you can see, this is not something that I've made up. This is about the fact that the landlady answered the door as soon as Billy rang the bell. This was from the text, however, it is not a quote from the text. I paraphrased what happened in the story, and so these are my own words, but it definitely tells about something that came from the text. It's very, very important that for evidence, you're not making things up that you think happened or may have happened in the story. You're only using things that for sure definitely happened in the story. Alright, based on my format, you should notice that third sentence, sentence number 3, starts with a commentary starter. So you should be grabbing an orange highlighter as well as the purple, and let's check back in the paragraph. In this paragraph, I decided to use the commentary starter, "This proves," and I've got it right here. Please make sure that you highlight that in orange as well. And then you can see my commentary sentence continues and is in purple. Remember, my commentary sentence is going to explain my evidence. So, in my evidence, I stated that there was a time when Billy rang the doorbell and the landlady came to the door way too quickly. Well, why is that strange? This is what your commentary sentence needs to prove. And I decided to say that it was very obvious that the landlady was watching Billy and waiting for him. And most people would agree that this is a red flag. This is a strange thing to do, and it should have indicated to Billy that something was in fact wrong or strange. Remember, in my topic sentence, I am telling you that I'm attempting to prove that Billy is completely clueless. So you need to tie your commentary back to the topic sentence. What are you trying to prove? Since we're trying to prove that Billy is clueless, we want to put in our commentary sentence that it is a strange thing to miss a sign that someone was watching you. Again, going back to the format, you should notice that the next thing you should be looking for is a transition word and another piece of text evidence. So go ahead and look for sentence 4 in your practice paragraph and highlight it. This is what your paragraph should look like now. You can see that this time I decided to use the transition word in addition. This is a really, really good one, but you have to use this one as your second or third transition. You can't use that as your first one because it indicates that you're adding more. And then I've decided to use my text evidence here that it was very strange when the landlady said that she stuffs all her pets. Let's check out, as you know, what comes next is commentary. So grab that orange highlighter and highlight whatever you think the commentary starter is, and also then highlight the commentary sentence. Remember, you are going to use orange and purple. Your paper should now look like this. So my commentary sentence that I'm writing about how she stuffs her pets, remember, I'm trying to prove that it is a clueless thing to do, or it is a stupid thing to do to miss this sign when someone tells you that they stuff all their little pets. Well, why is that so clueless? Why is that weird? It is weird because that is a very strange thing to do, and it is not common, and it's very, very odd. Commentary is difficult to write because commentary has to come from your head. You have to ask yourself, why is it weird that she stuffs all her pets? Why was Billy stupid because he missed that sign? Well, it's pretty clueless because people don't usually do that. And that's what I'm trying to write in my commentary sentence. Commentary can be difficult because commentary is not text evidence. You're not going to find it in the story. Commentary comes from you. It comes from your brain. As we talked about before, the nice thing about sentences 2 through 7 is that we just have a pattern. So I've already gone through and I've highlighted sentence 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now you should see what's coming next. I should have a transition word followed by my final and piece of text evidence. Let's take a look. This is true. For this last piece of text evidence, I decided to use the word finally, that transition word, because it just indicates that things are going to be wrapping up. And then, as we talked about before, Billy misses the fact that the tea has a very, very strange flavor, and it doesn't taste good at all. Go ahead and highlight next the commentary starter as well as the commentary sentence, and you should see that your paper will now look like this. You can go ahead and pause the video if you need to while you do this. Let's talk about the commentary sentence for the last time. Remember, now you are trying to prove that it's very, very stupid or very clueless of Billy to continue drinking the tea when it tasted so weird. Why is that strange? Remember, this has got to come from your head. It is very weird because if something tastes really, really yucky and gross, you should not keep drinking it. This is what you would need in your commentary sentence to explain how your text evidence, remember, ties back to the claim that you made in your topic sentence, which is that Billy is completely clueless and he missed the signs. Make sure your paragraph is highlighted so that it looks like this. And finally, you should know what's coming last. The 8th sentence of our paragraph will be our concluding sentence, and we will go ahead and highlight that blue. Now, in my opinion, I think that sometimes concluding sentences are difficult to write because it's hard to decide how to make your concluding sentence different from your topic sentence, because it seems like it would be very, very tempting to just use the same sentence or use, something very close. So I think that for me, I usually try and write a topic sentence and then I have to go back and revise it because it very rarely comes out right the first time. So check out how I've written my concluding sentence. I decided to say that Billy missed the clues that he should have noticed. So pretty similar to what I wrote up here, but not exactly the same. And then I decided to take it a step further, and instead of saying something about the dangerous landlady, in my concluding sentence, I went back to that, he could have prevented his own death in this short story. Really, the only thing that I wrote exactly the same from the topic sentence to the concluding sentence was that I actually used Billy Weaver's name is the same. But I did not, in my concluding sentence, I decided that it would be too repetitive to use the word landlady again, the name of the story, and the author's name. I decided that in my concluding sentence, I'd just keep it a little more simple. At this point, your sample paragraph should look exactly like this, and it's very, very important that yours looks like this because you are going to be able to use this as you start writing your own paragraphs. You can use this as a reference, so it's just really important that yours is exactly the same. As promised, I'd like to talk about transition words and commentary starters. So what I would like you to do is please grab the blue piece of paper that you have, and I'd just like you to show you some transition words that you can start to use in 7th grade. I'm guessing that you are quite familiar with like first, second, third, that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you that in 7th grade, those are pretty low level, and so we would like you to start using some of these new ones that we have here for you just to elevate your writing and make it more mature. You've got a whole list here, and they're really nice, and they sound great in a paragraph. You can see that in my paragraph, I decided to use, for example, in addition, and finally. I didn't use like a first, second, third thing because that sounds a little too immature. And at this point in 7th grade, you should be able to start using some of these more interesting ones. Now I'd like you to go back to the first side of your notes, and I'd like you to choose at least 6 transitions from the blue paper that are new to you. So for example, you might not be familiar with likewise. If that's one that you don't know about really and you've never used, maybe write it on your paper to remind yourself that at some time you would like to use this one. So right now you can pause the video and choose at least 6 transition words that are new to you, maybe that you've never used or you'd like to give a try. And then finally, let's go back and talk about commentary starters. In the example paragraph, you might have noticed, and you might see on your blue paper as well, that the commentary starters always start with the pronoun this. It's a reference to the sentence before, and you can see that they all start like this. Really, the only thing that's going to change with these commentary starters is how they end here, as you can see. You can probably also notice in my commentary sentences, after every single commentary starter, I used the word that, which is important to make the sentence sound correct. So you will probably notice that you'll need to use the word that after all of these commentary starters as well. And now going back to your page of notes, please go ahead and notice that you've got the commentary starters down here. And I would like you to choose at least 3 commentary starters that you have questions about or that you would need more information about before you can use them in your writing. So for example, if this backs up the idea is a commentary starter that's confusing to you and you think you would need more explanation, please go ahead and either highlight or circle that one. So you are identifying at least 3 that you have questions about or that you think you might have difficulty using. All right, at this time we're going to wrap up the video. You have learned about the 7th grade paragraph format. You're going to be using it a lot. You're going to be writing your own. We're going to be giving you more examples, And I would just like to remind you that as long as you follow the format, you're going to be great. You are going to love this format because it's really easy to use and you'll start learning it very quickly and you'll find that it makes your writing very easy.